All right, let's talk about it. Let's feast. Joint practice today, Texans and the Panthers, and there was a lot of takeaways. We went in depth on what went down on SNL earlier today at 4 with myself and Cody Stutes. Be sure to check that out. But I put together a list of the biggest takeaways from the day. I got 15 takeaways. The things that matter the most when it comes to what we saw today, how it kind of shapes up what we've seen before this, and how it sets up what we're going to see after this, including after a day off mañana. That's tomorrow for all the non-Spanish speaking folks. We're going to have an actual game. Who's going to play? We don't know. I asked Will Anderson. Will Anderson said he wants to go. So we might see these guys for a couple series in front of the home crowd on Saturday. And I would bet that that's all we see from the starters in the preseason. So without further ado, let's get into the biggest takeaways from today's joint, or you could call it a blunt if you prefer blunts over joints. I'm not judging you. It could be a bong, but we will call it a joint practice with the Carolina Panthers because that's the appropriate term. Takeaway 1, offensive-minded DeMeco Ryans. We talk about DeMeco Ryans being a defensive-minded coach. Hashtag DeMeco no O. And we all know how unproportional the coaching is and the evaluation on this team. If they evaluated offensive linemen like they did DBs and D linemen, my God, this would be a Super Bowl contending team. Unfortunately, they don't. But today, DeMeco Ryans stayed with the offense the entire time. He did not step on the defensive side of the field, and they had it divvied up where the Texans offense was on, I call it field 1, which is the one closest to where the fans were. And the defense was on field 2 going against the Carolina offense. DeMeco stayed with the offense. And I think that's good because the offense is what needs the most attention at this point. I think you feel pretty good about the defense. The offense needs more attention from DeMeco. And he gave it to him. So good for him. Shout out to HDAV Traveler on the chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Man, the myth, the legend. That dude likes to roll around with 2 wheels. Yes, he do. Reese on the chat also asks, I'm curious how Bryce is looking since he was someone that Texans fans wanted. I wanted Bryce. I make no bones about it. I was a Bryce or bust guy. Obviously, you feel like you did okay, but he looks a lot better. They're actually starting to surround him with some talent. And he had some big moments against the Texans defense. I would still say that the Texans ended up coming out on top. The only defensive period that I observed, Derek Stingley had an interception. But Bryce Young looks pretty good. So, yeah, that's takeaway 1, offensive-minded DeMeco Ryans, who we'll hear from a little bit later. But it's good to see DeMeco, and I'm sure it's hard for him. Maybe it's easy. I don't know. But DeMeco Ryans focusing on what needs to be focused on, even if it's not his comfort zone and the side of the ball that he's invested most of his time as a player and a coach during his football life. Takeaway 2. Xavier Hutchinson, the elite camp continues. And I got to give a credit to the listener who suggested this because Xavier Hutchinson has had such a good camp at this point. And tomorrow I'm going to do overreactions on the stream. I'm going to make statements and we're kind of going to talk them out. And Xavier Hutchinson, there may be a statement about Xavier Hutchinson that'll be the Friday overreaction as we head into the ball game. But Xavier Hutchinson has performed so well that he now has his own drop. So Xavier Hutchinson, congratulations. Not only have you solidified a roster spot and perhaps a key role on a good football team, and improvement that, my God, I don't think they saw coming, because if they'd seen this coming, they probably wouldn't have brought in as many receivers as they did. And now the wide receiver room, it's down to one battle, which we'll get to in a second. But Xavier Hutchinson right now, you can make a case Xavier Hutchinson has been, from a performance standpoint, you make a case he's been the best. Now, he doesn't have Derek Stingley blanketed all over him like Nico Collins does. And Nico Collins isn't really a practice player. He's a little bit more Allen Iverson.
We're in here talking about practice.
He is practicing now, but I don't think they feel like he needs to get his. But Xavier Hutchinson, my goodness, the elite camp continues. And I thought one of the best moments, one of the most, like, if you're someone that just likes to see players get better, because we don't see it on the offensive line really that often. But if you're just someone who just likes to see players get better, we saw Nico Collins break out in year 3. We saw Nico Collins break out. Now, Xavier Hutchinson was a day 3 guy. Nico Collins was a day 2 guy. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be the next Nico Collins, but he might be getting some of that dog in him. And I thought one of the better moments, one of the more like, okay, you're performing, but you're also kind of developing in more ways than one, took place in team period 5. Normally they've had 4, they had 5 today. And Xavier Hutchinson goes across the middle. It's during hurry up. He gets completely licked, just lit up, depleted, falls down. Now, Dalton Schultz kind of takes exception to it. CJ pulls him back because they're in a hurry up. Xavier Hutchinson gets to the line of scrimmage. They spike the ball, and they throw in a sub for Xavier Hutchinson. But I thought the most encouraging thing was, as Xavier Hutchinson is walking off the field, he walks over to the other side of the ball. He's pointing to the guy that hit him and letting him know he doesn't play that bleep and talking smack. It's not something that we think from Xavier Hutchinson or see. So not only is he performing, seems like he might have a little bit of that dog in him right now. So Xavier Hutchinson having a hell of a camp. Very, very good camp. So shout out to Xavier Hutchinson. He is on the team. Takeaway 3, the offensive line had some good moments. They had some good moments. Now, the offense started well and they finished well. There was a lot of blah in between, but the offensive line, they held up nicely, especially in period 1, to the point where I saw Cole Popovich pop. Saw him smile. I hadn't seen him smile. I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who it was. But between one and 2, or maybe it was at the end of 2, saw Popovich with a big smile on his face. I don't think he expects this offensive line to be really good, but they held up decently. Definitely better than they have against the Texans. There were still some blunders. There was one time where there was a stunt in the direction of Blake Fisher. Don't know whether it was his fault or someone else's, but number 31 on Carolina probably would have knocked CJ Stroud out of the game. Probably need to work on that, but maybe you're not going to have Blake Fisher at right tackle, I would say. I would say that's kind of like a last-ditch type of thing. They had Titus Howard on the sideline. Cam Robinson was still chilling. So I don't think that, unless something crazy happens, I don't think you're going to have Blake Fisher out there. There was a play where someone just completely split Ingram and Titus Howard. Just completely bulldozed them. And the quarterbacks, they're doing a better job of feeling out pressure. And I think that's another thing that needs to happen is, and you've seen the improvement with CJ. Davis Mills has done a pretty good job of it throughout. But I think that's going to have to be a combination of it to help the offensive line. You're going to have to feel the pressure. Now, hopefully you don't get to a point where CJ is anticipating it, because that's where you kind of get happy feet and he's not going through his progressions. He's not setting his feet. His fundamentals are kind of off. Sometimes it's necessary because you're running for your life. But I do feel like anticipating it is going to have to be something that they're going to do. But there were some good moments on the offensive line. Cole Popovich did his thing.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
Takeaway number 4. They're really pushing Yakob Johnson. Now, I don't know if he's going to make the team. We know he's the only fullback. Right now, I would say he's tight end 3. He was getting first team reps as well, and they're really, really coaching him. There was a point where the tight end coach, Moreland, got really pissed at Yakob Johnson because of an effort that he had, or lack of effort that he had as a lead blocker. And Jake Moreland was just mother effing him, pissed off about it, pulled him to the side, kind of went through what he did wrong on the block. And there was a point where Yakob Johnson was running with the 2s and the 1s. So they're pushing this guy really, really hard to see if, I don't know if they're just doing it because they know that he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be playing both those roles. Or I don't know if they're just trying to see if he's worthy of being on this 53. But he is getting very, very, very much pushed to where the Brevin Jordan injury makes him arguably your 3rd best tight end. Now there was a time where they had him. There was a time where they had Lachey and Irv Smith lined up on the right side. That did not go well. And they tried to run behind him. That did not go well. Probably don't want to do that. But they're pushing Yakob Johnson and trying to see if he got what it takes to make this squad. We're going through the biggest takeaways of the day from the Texans versus Panthers joint practice. Takeaway 1, offensive-minded Miko. Takeaway 2, Xavier Hutchinson elite camp continues. Takeaway 3, the offensive line had some good moments. Takeaway 4, they're pushing the big German, Yakob Johnson. Let's go to the super chats.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Mr. Nance, Kyle Nance says, after SNL, you're not sold on Ingram. Seen a lot of videos and game footage of some bad technique, but solid recovery on blocks. Like Cam run blocking leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, it's pretty much just, I guess it's pick your poison is the right term. I'm not sure. But a lot of times when you say pick your poison, it's like for good. I guess you just got to pick where you want to have holes. Like, do you want Cam Robinson and Ariante Ursery with Titus Howard at guard? Do you want Ursery and Titus Howard with Ingram at guard and Robinson as your backup? It's really just pick your poison. Like, I don't think that he's a better player than Titus Howard at this point, but I mean, we're grasping for straws here. Like, you're not going to have a flawless offensive line. So I get what you're saying. They do seem to be a little bit higher on Ingram than they are Jalen Thomas. It seems like Juice Scruggs has gotten the momentum. But yeah, I'm not sold on Ingram at all. No, I don't know. I don't know that there's really too many offensive linemen that I'm sold on at all. Like, there's no one that I feel awesome about. I feel good about Ursery. I think it's going to be a fun ride. And I think he has potential to develop into a really good player. But I guess the term sold on, you can kind of get semantic when you're talking about this offensive line. But if you're talking about like picking the best 3 when it comes to the tackles, I think they would rather have Titus at right guard. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they're liking what they're seeing from Titus at tackle. Don't know. But no, I'm not sold on Ingram. There's not too many offensive linemen here that I'm sold on.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Jacob says, if Russ Yeast makes this team, is he the next Chris Boyd, a good special teams player who will cost you 2 flags a game? Yeah, I don't know if Russ Yeast is this nasty in the in actual games, but in practice, he is a mofo. He's already gotten in a couple squabs. Today, he really wanted to get into one, but he wasn't going to force it. Just had his hand like on the guy. It was basically like it. I called it earlier today. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like, if you're about it, I'm about it. They didn't bite the hook, but yeah, Russ Yeast is pretty nasty. I don't think he makes the team. I think it's kind of going to be an uphill battle for him. Maybe he can hang around. Maybe they like him enough to do that, like practice squad or something. But I think like the it seems like when it comes to the safety in that range in the depth chart, it seems like they actually can, like Miles Bryant might be that guy, if that makes sense. I know he's small, but he's been working with the safeties, like how Yakob Johnson is doing a lot of everything. Miles Bryant's done. He's the only DB that's been in all three lines of warmups in camp. And the three lines are the safeties, the corners, and the Petrie line. He's been in all three. Right now, he's with the safeties. So I think he would have the advantage over Yeast. Plus, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was there today, he's gonna be playing at some point. So you're not. I don't know that Yeast has like as much of a problem, but yeah, he's a mean mofo. There is no doubt about that. Takeaway 5 from the joint practices. I hate myself for this. I absolutely hate myself for saying this. It's just an observation. I just try to be honest. Dari's playing the best at running back. Now, Dameon Pierce did not practice today. Neither did Christian Harris. Neither did Foley Fatukasi. Neither did Derek Barnett. Neither did Cam Robinson. We didn't get the action that we wanted with Christian Harris and Dameon Pierce. Damn shame. Dare Gumbawale is playing the best running back. He had a touchdown in the end zone. He's running the ball decently. He's playing better than Nick Chub. Jawar Jordan had a good day today. I don't think he's playing as complete as Dare. Woody Marks shows signs. There's just not as much like opportunity. When he runs the ball, it does feel like there's a little bit more burst. He falls forward. He's easily the best receiver. But as far as like in-game action, team, all that, like Dare Gumbawale is playing the best at running back. And you do with that what you want. You can keep in the back of your mind that Mixon and Pierce haven't stepped on the field. But at this point, with where we're at, and we're 3 weeks away from a ball game, Dare Gumbawale is very much alive, and Dare Gumbawale right now of the running backs that are playing, he's playing the best at running back. That shouldn't make you feel awesome, but it's just the reality of the situation. And that's just kind of where that is. Frank Z says Dare could be shoulder lean. What does that mean? I had that for CJ, but I don't know what that means. Shoulder lean, but I had that. Got a lot of sound bites today. Takeaway 6. Arthur Mallet's place on the DB depth chart is interesting. I don't know what they think about this guy. He's been in the league a long time. He's the only guy that's in the Petrie line. I think they look at him as a true corner. He's pretty competitive. And I just don't know how much longer you can do this D'Angelo Ross thing. Like, if D'Angelo Ross is on your practice squad, okay. But I don't know how much longer you can do this. Because it just seems like every time you look up, D'Angelo Ross is just getting roasted at the cornerback position. And Arthur Mallet, there's been some times where he's had a couple of bad days, but there's also been times where he's had some really good days. And the fact that he's the only guy that's in that line with Petrie just makes me think, and Miles Bryant's been in the line, so maybe Miles Bryant is ahead of Mallet. But if we're just talking corners, I'm just having a really hard time understanding this D'Angelo Ross thing. You do have your top 4 corners, I think, in the Smiths, Jalen and Tremont, and then obviously Lassiter and Stingley. But like when we start talking CB5, I don't think it's Damon Arnett. I don't think Damon Arnett makes the team, but I do wonder what they think. Like if they were talking about Mallet and D'Angelo Ross, like I wonder what the discussion is. I don't know where he fits, but I'm intrigued by the guy. He's got some nasty in him too. He's been doing it for a long ass time, man. He's been doing it a long ass time. Takeaway 7, and this is a question. Are the guys on the sideline no-brainers on the 53? And the guys that were on the sideline today, and I'm not counting like guys that haven't in any way, shape, or form practice. So this is not like a question about Trent Brown or anything like that. But like Christian Harris, the answer is yes. I don't think they would need to see him in any live action, like against opposing teams, for him to make the team. Dameon Pierce, like, do we need to see something from Dameon Pierce? Is Dameon Pierce just an absolute lock to make the team? I think there's kind of a question there. I think he should be, just because I think I would rather see Dameon Pierce than any more Nick Chubb. I'm over the Nick Chubb thing. Derek Barnett. Now, Darrell Taylor's look good. We know what Derek Barnett has done. Are they confident? Like, have they seen Taylor and said, okay, he can be Barnett? And then you factor in Horton. Does Derek Barnett need to do anything? Maybe not. Foley Fatukasi is kind of interesting. Like, has he done enough to where they just trust him to keep him on the 53? I don't know. I just wonder if they need to see anything from these guys in order for them to be on. I think Christian Harris is the 100% no-brainer. And I think Damien's up there as well. Takeaway 8. Jalen Smith, welcome to the NFL. This was a welcome to the NFL practice for Jalen Smith. The rookie out of USC, he had a penalty and he had a few balls caught on him, including a touchdown. This was Jalen Smith's welcome to the NFL practice. You need that. You need practices like this. Will Anderson said that. And this was Jalen Smith's welcome to the NFL practice. So I think he's going to be a pretty good player. He's looked pretty good. But today they kind of came after him and they were pretty successful in doing so. Takeaway number 9. It should be Watson versus Mechie. Braxton Berrios had another good day. I think he was going to be safe no matter what. But now I think wide receiver 7, and we've been saying this for a while, but I think it's Watson versus Mechie. If Mechie isn't on the team, obviously they'll get something for him. I don't know how valuable they look at Watson on special teams. I know he's done it and he's been doing it. And Mechie's just kind of hit or miss when it comes to that area. But it should be Watson versus Mechie. I think that's where we're at wide receiver. Outside of that, it seems like it's kind of set in stone. So that's takeaway 9. Takeaway 10 from today. And I'm asking this question because I really don't know. What is the ideal role for Nick Chubb at this point? Like, what is the ideal role for Nick Chubb? What do they envision? Like, if Joe Mixon is here, what is Nick Chubb doing? He's not going to be your third down back. He's not going to play special teams. Is he a better short yardage runner at this point than Joe Mixon? If Joe Mixon is going to go, he's not a better receiver than Woody Marks. He might be the best pass blocker they have, although they like a Goombawale in that area. Like, what is the role? Like, if there's no Mixon at the start of the season, then I guess maybe like it's just like a true committee. But I do wonder, like, when they think about Nick Chubb, like, what is the ideal role? That he spells Mixon for like 8 or 10 carries? Because I really don't know. And it seems like he's getting the benefit of the doubt right now of there not being full tackling. But it seems like he just gets hit at the line of scrimmage. And maybe he's just a superhuman freak that's going to throw these guys off of him. But it seems like they have a pretty good grasp of him. They definitely did last year in the 8 games. So I just don't know what the ideal role is for Nick Chubb. Is it great that Dare Goombawale is your best running back right now? No, but that's reality. So I don't know how Nick Chubb fits into this. So I would love to hear from them. Like, what is the ideal role for Nick Chubb? Pass blocking downs, he can't catch. So you just want him to just sit in there and block? I mean, like Woody Marks can do that. Woody Marks has done that for a long time. Like, I just like that's sad. Downhill runner on the goal line. Okay. I mean, I guess. I don't really get it. Nomad Scott says, I think you go Mixon, Pierce, Marks, Agumbawale. I agree. I agree 100%. And I'm just wondering, like, when we go back and look at this, is the reason that Nick Chubb is here have more to do with Mixon than anything else? I think the answer is yes. But how far are we taking this? Like, he's still getting the first team reps. I mean, they've had blind spots before where, Shaq Mason gets the start because of what he did in the past, and he probably gets more leeway than he probably should have. Is that going to be Nick Chubb? I'm very interested to see what this looks like. I don't think Nick Caley's scared to make this tough decision, but it does seem like a lot, and maybe we have like a true committee type of situation. I don't know what's going on with Mixon, but the Nick Chubb thing, like the more that people actually witness it, and that's why I'm kind of glad that fans walk in. Although I think some are kind of dug in just like because they're trying to counter what Stoots does. But like I think the more people that actually see it, the more you see, okay, I see what they're talking about. Because that's what it is. Maybe he's just a super freak, but that wasn't the case last year. So I just don't understand what the role and the vision is of that. I would love to hear them say that. And they're going to treat him with the appropriate amount of respect because he deserves it. He's a freaking beast. He's Nick freaking Chubb. He might not be the same guy that he once was, but he still deserves that respect. He's the ultimate badass. He was one of the top 3-4 backs in the league for an extended period. He was workhorse, freak. It's a miracle that he's even out there right now, that we're even talking about him potentially making a team. That doesn't mean that he doesn't stink right now. So that's just where it is. Takeaway 11. Davis Mills has developed a really good ability to go to his left. We've seen some big plays from Davis Mills rolling to his left. At the Greenbrier, there's the rollout to the left where he found Xavier Hutchinson for the first touchdown of the scrimmage. Today, he kind of had a rollout that perhaps would have been a touchdown. He also had a rollout that resulted in a touchdown to Jalen Knoll at the end of team one. Davis Mills, for some reason, is just really good at rolling to his left. And it's almost like he has like a real good knack of feeling pressure going to the right. I don't know why. Like maybe it's because he just knows that wherever Blake Fisher is, you're going to have to run the opposite way. Maybe that kind of helps. It's like, well, this guy's not going to block anybody. And Blake Fisher's the second team tackle. He did get some first team reps today, but maybe Davis Mills just realizes I got to go this way because that way I'm probably going to get my head knocked off. I don't know. But for some reason, he has developed a crazy skill to be able to go to the left. And it's extremely impressive. Davis Mills is like a superpower. Absolute superpower. Takeaway 12. If Jalen Petre's going to play the majority of the snaps, I think he's going to get sniffed out a little bit more in coverage than we saw last year. Now, they can probably hide it, and I still think he's going to make plays close to the line of scrimmage, but I do anticipate if they're going to play the defense that they did last year, where Jalen Petre's playing 85, 95% of the snaps, I think he's going to get sniffed out. You saw it a couple times today. You see him trying to guard Christian Kirk. It's not his strong suit. It's the reason he's not just the traditional safety. But I feel like there's going to be a couple of times where it's just completely sniffed out. A lot of people say, well, how can you leave Jalen Petre one-on-one? There's going to be plays over the course of a football game where if you're going to be on the field 90% of the time, NFL OCs are going to put you in a position where you're going to have single coverage one time or another. So let's keep an eye on that. We kind of saw some of that today. Takeaway 13. Before we get to takeaway 13, tier 1 on the soup has a question.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Thoughts on Mills only playing one series last game? Good for him. They scored the touchdown. He handled his business. I don't think they needed to see much more. They saw all they needed to from the other guys. I thought that was good for him. Good job. One and done. Bye-bye. Thought 13, Nico Collins is still the tone setter. I know he's got Derek Stingley draped over him or Kamari Lassiter draped over him whenever the Texans are practicing against each other. But today, Nico was the tone setter. First drive on team one, he caps it off with a touchdown. Easy work. Then Nico Collins goes to the tent, and this might kind of explain the struggles because on my notes, so team three, in the middle of team three, was when Nico Collins ran to the cooling tent. And then he came running back in team four. And as soon as he ran back, Stroud threw a touchdown pass to Agumbawale. And then he threw a perfect touchdown pass to Nico Collins. So Nico Collins is still he is still the tone setter. I don't want to say he's completely the straw that stirs the drink, but the offense ain't the same without Nico. Unfortunately, there's usually stretches of the season where you have to go without him, but he just kind of reminds you today that he's the tone setter. Nico Collins. Takeaway 14, Stingley Island is a thing. One target of Derek Stingley today, one interception. In the red zone at the end of team two. Stingley Island's a thing. And it creates a lot of opportunity for a lot of guys, but as soon as you go that way, he's ready to go. It's a thing. I said Derek Stingley's got the ball skills of a porn star. He'll go up and get it. Stingley Island, definitely a thing. Takeaway 15. We saw CJ Gardner-Johnson. He was walking. He spent a lot of time with Steve Smith, the former Panthers receiver, who was in the building. I don't know how close CJ Gardner-Johnson is or isn't. He's walking around. He had the sleeve on, the same sleeve that Dameon Pierce has on. But we did see CJ Gardner-Johnson walking around for the first time, which was a welcome sight. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like when he gets back on the defense. So those are the 15 takeaways from the joint practice. And it was a pretty productive one. I would say the Texans, you got to give them the nod. I would say they got the best of them, but I would say Carolina's probably pretty pleased with how they showed up too. That was a really bad football team. They've invested a lot. I don't know how good or bad they're going to be, but yeah. Someone asks an interesting question. Why haven't they put Tank on IR yet? I really don't know. And Tank said every practice, Tank's always there. He's going to be around the team. By the way, CJ Stroud said today that I guess Brevin Jordan, an hour after he got hurt, said, I'm going to attack this rehab, and got pretty excited, which is pretty crazy, especially if you saw just how dramatic of a situation it was and how dramatic it should be. Like if you tear your ACL for the second straight year after, or whatever happened. I don't know if he tore his ACL, whatever. You get injured the year after tearing your ACL, and you have to go through that again. That's got to suck. But that's just kind of where we're at on that. Yes, McMillan did have a touchdown on Stingley. Excuse me. Yeah, they threw him a couple times. So yes, that's right. It was short, but yeah, you're right. That's right, Ezekiel. I watched the one team period. Team two. Stutz was on that. So yes, if you want to go get the in-depth play-by-play of that, Stutz was watching that field. So yes, you are right. So yeah, incorrect on my end, but there was the interception in the end zone. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans did cap to me when I asked him about the 53-man roster. Let's hear from the head coach.
For today, I was really pleased with the way we practiced, the way the Panthers practiced. Thought we got productive work in is what we set out to do on both sides. Everybody's cooperative, working together, and we were able to get out of it what we expected, right? A chance to go against different schemes, different players, and it was really good work for us, offensively and defensively. Special teams were able to get some work as well. So all three phases, we got better today. We improved, and that's what you set out to do, joint practice to improve and get better, and that's what we did today. So thankful to Dave and his team for coming down, working out here in Houston today.
Coach, how important it is for you guys to have a good, clean practice? Nobody was on the ground too much.
Yeah.
Everybody was able to walk away, still be able to come out with some lessons.
I expect every practice to be that way. Clean, work as professionals. That's what we are. This is our job as professional football players. We got to work in a manner accordingly, staying off the ground, staying up, protecting each other. Right? We know the effort it takes to stay up is pretty hard, and it takes real athletes to do that. And these guys did a tremendous job of that today. And now we get a chance on Saturday to go cut it loose and play real football. But I thought our guys worked really well today together.
What are you seeing from the receivers, specifically Berrios, Mechie, and Watson?
For the receivers, all three of those guys you mentioned, Berrios, Watson, Mechie, all just competitive at the catch point. Each guy showing up and made plays. Pick a day. One of those guys is showing up, making plays, and it's really a lot of great competition there amongst all those guys.
He didn't bite the hook. I wanted to see if there was any talk about them separating themselves. He didn't bite the hook on that one.
Same names, it seems like Hutchinson taking advantage of his opportunities. What have you seen from first time?
Here comes Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutchinson, first year till now, he's just gotten better every year. He's shown what it looks like when you put the work in and you're really deliberate about getting better and you want to get better at your craft, you can do that. That's what he represents. That's what he's done, and I mean, credit to him for putting the work in, not only here, but putting the work in while he's away, while no one's around. He's working all the time, and it's a credit to him, and it shows up, and now he's in a really good spot to help our team.
DeMeco, could you explain the value and the difference that you talked about, the difference of going up against a different scheme, different coaches? What's the value of that for the team?
Yeah, for us, schematically, when you're in training camp, especially for us at week 3, right, we've going against offense, defense guys. They know the snap count. They know the plays they're going to see. They know the formations, and it kind of get monotonous after that third week. So to break it up, right, it helps us because Carolina, they do a lot more under defense, which our defense doesn't run much. So our offensive line get a chance to make calls and checks versus different schemes up front. They get to see different pressures, right? How are we going to pick this pressure up? And they aren't scouted looks. Like, we're not game planning the Panthers, so unscouted looks. Let's see if our rules and the things we teach from OTAs through training camp on a day-to-day basis, can you show up and can you execute just your fundamentals and techniques without having a game plan against someone? And that's the beauty of it, right? You don't know what's coming, you don't know what to expect, but can you just play within your rules, trust your technique, trust the guys around you?
Is there a point where y'all kind of intensify the
That's
process?
Nico about the 53 here. He says he hadn't thought about it. I think they've thought about it a little bit, but this is a good quote on having to make the decisions that they're going to have to make.
Picking 53 guys. I know we talk about it a lot, but is there how hard is it this year compared to years past? Seems like there's a little more depth, but is there a point where you and Nick say, okay, this is our first version, second, third? What's the process like?
For me, I honestly am not thinking about the 53. Just thinking about guys getting better. And that process, when it comes for us to select 53 guys, after our third preseason game, we'll tackle that process when it gets there. But right now, what I love about our team, we got a ton of competitive dudes all across the board on our team. And I would love to keep all these guys around because, it just means a lot to me because knowing all the work, the sacrifice they put in, right, to make this team and to make themselves better, and I don't take that lightly. So that process will happen. It's always a tough process to dwindle it down to 53 guys when there's always more than 53 guys who are deserving of making the team.
You have to think about that throughout the course of it, though. I just don't know. He's not going to tell me, but there's got to be a time where you sit together and say, this is where we are, this is where we are, this is where we are. There has to be a thought to that. There has to be. That's why you put more on Yakob Johnson's plate. That's why you have Miles Bryant at safety corner everywhere else. It's got to be a fluid thing. And then you got to kind of gather and wonder, okay, how do we adjust when Brevin Jordan gets hurt? So I'm sure it's not like top of mind, but you've got to be thinking about that.
DeMeco has been getting a lot more reps with the ones. What have you seen from him since really stepping into that role for right arm slot?
Ed's continued to improve, just his pass rush, just being under control, like playing better base, playing with his hands better, picking up the stunts in games better. Just I like, how he's progressed. I think Cole has done a really good job with Ed, and he's done a great job. So I expect him to just continue to improve, and we'll see where we end up.
Coach, with the running back room kind of been in flux over the last couple of weeks, how impressed have you been with guys like Mallet and even Chub, who's a veteran, kind of fluxing in and just filling in those positions through camp, and then obviously what the position will probably look like?
Well, we have a really deep running back room. Dare is going back to the game last week versus Minnesota. Dare definitely popped, making some nice runs there. We got a lot of young guys there as well. I want to see them get some reps this week and see how they handle the football. But overall, the room is competitive. It's a deep room. Got guys with experience, got young guys, and Coach Bear has done a good job of just molding that group the proper way.
And then lastly, obviously, the last open practice, obviously, of the season. This is the last time you'll be able to see the fans, and fans will see the team before Saturday. How excited are you guys just to be back in front of the fans on Saturday and just be in that environment, knowing it'll be the last time before the Monday night game week?
This will be a really, really cool environment for us to get in front of our fans here at NRG on Saturday, actually to play a game. So it's be an exciting time. We're excited to see our fans come out and support us in the games. They've been out here every open practice we've had. We're thankful for the way our fans show up. And it's not just at 9 o'clock when we kick practice off. I'm coming in at 5 a.m. and I see lines of people out here ready, waiting to come here and watch guys practice. So we are, incredibly grateful to our fans for the sacrifice and the time that they make and the effort they put into being able to come out here early, getting here earlier than some of the coaches. They're out here ready to go. And just shows how excited everyone is about Texans football, right? And we're just as excited as our fans are. We're excited too. So thankful for all the support.
From an evaluation standpoint, when you win, you got a game Saturday on the same bunch. But then you go back and look at the coaches' tape from the day. Does the mindset change the evaluation process way a little bit more because of the practice, the nuances of seeing practice as opposed to the game situation, or does it balance the same way?
As we compare, great question. As we compare today's practice, the joint versus Carolina, as opposed to the game, what I'm looking for, we go in today, there'll be mistakes, there'll be corrections that need to be made. And now, can you see a guy make that jump and make the corrections he needs to make on Saturday as he play in the game? So when we evaluate the game, say, man, if this happened 2 times, did the guy progress? Did he get better with the looks that he was given? And for the most part, throughout camp, I've seen guys, do that. And the good ones, you want to be a pro football player, you got to be able to, not make the same mistakes over and over again, but make new mistakes. And that's what we'll like to see from our guys.
You always talk about when the lights come on.
Yeah.
All right, lights on, say lights, Saturday is the lights coming on. Does that, how do you look at it from that standpoint that if the guy that had a good practice with, say, today, and the lights come on and he suddenly look like a being headlights?
You'll see that a lot at times when guys get in games. You see guys who can rise up and make the plays that they've been making at practice, and sometimes you see guys who they're able to just show up on practice, right? So there's a difference there, and the good ones will separate themselves. It's not a lot of – it won't be hard for coaches to deem who separates themselves. Guys will show up on game day, they'll separate themselves because now you get a chance to see guys truly cut it loose and finish. I know they're tired of me barking, hey, stay up, protect each other. Now you get a chance to cut it loose, and we'll see who can actually cut it loose.
One more. What do you make of the way that you guys covered today? And it's a lot of the first time that a lot of these guys in the secondary have seen the different points.
I did not see the defense. I saw one defensive play today. And you know what I saw? I saw Derek Stingley back to try to throw a back shoulder. I saw Derek Stingley pick it off and go to the house. So if they cover like that all day, it was a great day.
I can tell you, CJ Stewart had a couple of pass breakups too. I was just curious, given the CJ Gardner-Johnson injury, like what what is it about MJ that you guys like as the next man up and then kind of filling that role, and what do you kind of expect out there?
For MJ, man, what I love about MJ is not on the field, but off the field. When we're in the meeting room, MJ is the guy who's asking questions, like keeping the meetings going, like making sure we got a lot of back and forth banter going on in the meetings, like because he asks great questions, right? Challenging coaches, like why are we doing it this way? Why wouldn't we do it there? Or try this. So I love that when players speak up in meetings, and that's what MJ does, sets himself apart. And from that, bringing it onto the field, he's a great communicator. When he lines up, he does a great job of making sure everybody's on the same page, and that's so important for me and how we run our defense from the safety position. If you can't talk, you can't communicate to get everybody on the same page, then I really don't want you out there, right? Because everybody's counting on you to make the right check. So MJ does that. Great communicator, not only defense, but also special teams. He's our personal protector. Takes a lot of communication there. So as a veteran guy who's showing up consistently year after year, carving out a role for himself just because he's a smart player, plays hard, plays physical, and also does a great job communicating.
All right, thank you.
All right, appreciate
There you go. It's offensive-minded DeMeco Ryans. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock SNL, we're going to do the path exercise. Cody Stutes is going to lay out guys that are 100% on the roster, and he has to be so confident that if one of these guys doesn't make it, he has to chug 7 ounces of apple cider vinegar. We will then take the guys not on the list and talk about their path to making the team, some more difficult than others. So tune into SNL, listen to SNL tomorrow at 4, right here live on YouTube and on all podcast platforms. And we got you covered in that area. DeMeco, don't you hate the guy that he described when it comes to MJ Stewart? I think MJ Stewart's a fine reserve safety, but he's the guy that's making the meetings longer by asking all the questions. Don't we hate that guy? Don't we hate that guy? You all know that guy at work where you're having like a meeting that you just want to get over. No, this is football. So they probably need to get on the same page. But the guy he was describing there, I was kind of like, oh, man. Damn, if I'm Derek Stingley and I know everything that's going on, you're keeping me in this meeting 10 more minutes by asking the question. I don't know about all that. That's a little too much for me. That's a little too much for me. Andrew asks in the chat, what's the difference in false starts from the O-line between this year and last year at this point? Really haven't seen a lot of false starts this year. And quite frankly, I don't remember if false starting was a problem last year. I usually have a pretty good memory about stuff like that, but I don't think false starts were like that much of an issue. I think that was more of a game thing. A little bit of a difference there. I don't think they have as many false starts in practice. So yeah, there's that. I wanted to ask a question. Kind of want to take a survey. Do y'all like, because Cal McNair did it again, do y'all like the Cal Cooks Burgers bit? The Cal Cooks Burgers. I guess the new tradition is Cal McNair cooks hamburgers and hot dogs, and he feeds them to the fans in the stands. Is that a good bit? I don't hate the bit. I think it's a good. I think it's a fine bit. I think it's a okay bit. Does it hit for the peeps? Does it hit for the peeps? The cow cooks the burger. It's fine. It's fine. Rich boy, we got him tickets to it. He said, I had a cow burger today. It was average. Oh, really? What was average about? Is he not seasoning it or what? What did cow? So cow's burgers aren't good, huh? Sibu says it's fine. Tay says okay. Andrew says he should do it more often. Kyle says good bit. Nick says he'd eat a McNair burger if he lived in Houston. Still more than other owners, yes. Frank says it's great PR. So there you go. The cow burger bit, alive and well. The hot dog bit, good. The burger, though, average. according to Rich Boy. So there we go. And now we have a game on Saturday. We have an off day mañana on Friday, and we have a game on Saturday. So what are we looking for in this game? Are we going to see the starters? Made it sound like there would be a little bit of action. Will Anderson said that he thinks it's important to play. I don't think Will Anderson needs to play, but he said he needs to. So maybe we'll see Will for a little bit. Hopefully one series. Same with CJ. And then some of these other guys that are fighting to make the team have to have good showings. I think Yakob Johnson has to have a good showing. I think that Mallet has to have a good showing. Miles Bryant has to have a good showing. But they know, they have a pretty good idea of what the 53 is. Milio says Jerry Jones, rather than cooking like Cal, he would just order a bunch of McDonald's and Diet Cokes. Hey, doesn't sound too bad to me. That doesn't sound too bad to me. Ezekiel says the pictures, the meat look gray. Damn, Cal's feeding the fans rotten food now. What if one of the fans got like bad food poisoning from the Cal burger? There's like a big controversy. Fan gets food poisoning from the Cal burger. Suing. NFL owner sued for poisoning fans. I like the bit. I think the bit's cool. I think it's cool. I think he's on the other side of it being kind of weird. I think at first it was kind of strange, but I think they've done a good job with it. It's gotten organized. They got the HEB sponsor. He's got the shirts. They're feeding more people. It seems like it, from what I heard, I didn't go. From what I heard, like the assembly line was better, so they had the food more prepared for the folks. Free food's free food, though. People who complain about free food, crazy. Rich Boy said average. It was just an honest eval. But the burger thing, I don't know. Like I like grilled burgers, all right. I'd rather grill hot dogs and like chicken and stuff like that. Like I almost prefer fast food burgers. I ain't going out for burgers really. Like nice burgers. The grills, they're fine. Yeah, it's cool when you can grab the hamburger and the dog, but some of these grilled burgers just a little bit crazy. Ezekiel says wouldn't trust anything cooked by Pendergast and Sterner. What does that mean? I don't get it. How does CJ wear a beanie in 99-degree heat? I wear a hoodie in like the 99 when I walk around. Nothing like a homemade burger. I would disagree with that. Homemade spaghetti is better. Homemade lasagna is better. I think hot dogs are better. Homemade steak is better. Ribs are better. Sausage is better. Pause. Homemade pizza is better. Yeah, come on, man. It's not homemade burgers. Not even top 10. If we're talking just grill, sure. It's not even top 10, man. We got jokes today. McChunky says Aaron Wilson reported Cal deliberately poisons fans. Damn. Mike Morris says AFC Championship this year, Landry. I promise you. Whatever you say. wouldn't go well if everyone was supposed to show up for cow sausage. Isn't the hot dog tip? Because I think, does he make hot dogs too, or does he just make burgers? Okay, so I guess Sterner and Pendergast helped him cook it, the burgers. Interesting. Remember one year Sean tried to cook it and his like eyes were all red and stuff. It looked like freaking zombie. Hopefully, like protected his eyes a little bit. I love Pendergast though, a lot. It's my dog. There were hot dogs too. Cal's Conies. Yeah, Cal gets down in the grill apparently. It's down on the grill. Cal's Burgers. 1 thumb up, not 2. Tomorrow, SNL 4:00. We'll do the path to the roster exercise. We will also on here. We'll do the overreactions of camp up to this point. I think preseason game 2 is probably the only chance that we'll see the starters. And then after that, I think camp kind of winds down. I know they got the joint practice in Detroit, and I guess that could potentially be intense, but I mean, they got to start giving some guys some breaks at some point. Like, we're not seeing very many off days, as many off days as we used to see. And I think at some point you gotta let your top dogs who you know are going to be there. You gotta let these guys rest at some point. I don't know. And they did do a good job, like with some of these guys, where you go through the indie drills and then you sit out a team. But I mean, they have all this science, and like you're getting closer and closer to the season, and they just added. I didn't think they were going to have practice next week, but they just told us that they added practice, a walkthrough Wednesday at 3, and then practice Tuesday and Wednesday got moved to 9 a.m. So you have a couple practices, and then you have the Lions joint practice. So when are we slowing this down? I don't know. Maybe it's just the wussification of America and me thinking that. Who knows? Appreciate everyone for coming through. We were 200 plus deep tonight. Be sure to like the damn video. Be sure to subscribe to SNL. Be sure to always remember, and if you're going to be at the game, enjoy some preseason games. Some people love, some people hate. Very hit or miss. But always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, whether you're going to the game or not, we're all in it together. We'll have the post game. We'll probably do a Sunday post game again for the preseason, but who knows? I'll be out there. You never know. It's an early game. Who knows? Appreciate y'all for coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do.